bathroom, so that's nice.
Good job, Duncan. And then laundry that we haven't done all week, so we have laundry too. So, yeah, that's fun.
I was like, I fold that, but I have another load to do, so I'll wait, and then it'll get folded on Wednesday.
And I feel like sometimes folding laundry just feels, I don't know, kind of pointless. You just put it,
put it back on. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, my kitty's yelling at me. He's like, hey, you're sitting in front of the computer, which means you should pet me.
Aww, kitty. I know. I don't know. I think all my cats are asleep right now. Oh, look, there's a very fat squirrel who is working the suet in my bird feeder right now. Big. Look, it's a kitty. Look, it's Cuckoo Kitty.
It's Cuckoo Kitty.
Hello, favorite nephew Kitty. I don't know that if he's my favorite nephew, but I do like Mr. Coo, even though he's destructive and steals my stuff when I come over.
He does, because he's jealous of you.
He is jealous, as he should be.
He does. He's like, she takes attention away from me. Okay, belly rubs are done.
Okay. Good job. So it is snowing here in Kalamazoo, Michigan. And what is it doing in Chelsea, Michigan?
It's snowing in Chelsea, Michigan. Just this real fine sort of, powdered sugar sort of snow. It's sticking to the grass, not really sticking to the roads. It's kind of like everything is the same sort of sepia tone color. Can't tell where the sky starts and the ground ends. So.
I know, and I'm starting to wonder if we'll ever see the sun again, because it's now been days upon days. They were saying like we had like 12 hours of sun in all of like from say December 15th to January 15th. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, that sounds right. That actually sounds right. It sounds like more than I thought we had. I thought we had 12 minutes. So
it might have been more or less. So yeah.
I think. Hey, happy Chinese New Year, Year of the Rabbit.
Year of the Rabbit, right on.
What's your Chinese sign?
Mine is crap. I can't remember. Dog? No, I can't remember. Now I have to look it up. All right, hang on. What?
Duncan is the monkey. Doesn't that seem very appropriate?
Kind of does, actually. All right, I'm looking mine up. Hang on. I used to know this. Why do I not know this? All right, here we go. October 30th.
You have to look at the
internet. 1970. Find your zodiac sign. There it is. I'm the dog. I was right. I'm dog. What are you?
I'm a rooster. I'm the cock.
Right. That's funny. You said cock. I know. So I thought you brought this up. This is you're leading our discussion today, but it really is kind of a fun time. Here we are and I didn't really feel it until this week. This week it hit me that we are literally locked in the dead of winter right now. I was reading something on the Weather Channel the other day, and we've reached the midpoint of winter, which is as winter as you can get right now.
It's pretty wintry. It's snowing.
Yeah. Yes, and that we are kind of making a return to winter this week, according to the extended forecasts. So I thought it was interesting that you wanted to do the subject of gardening and your spring preparations, even though it is essentially we are locked into the dead of winter right now. So I think it's good because I think it provides people with hope that if Ann Brothers is already preparing her gardens, that spring is really not that far away, and there is in fact hope for the rest of us. Oh gosh, there she brought the books out.
Yeah, because you know why I start thinking about gardening in January is because that's when the seed catalogs start coming. So as of January 1st, I got my first seed catalog and I was like, oh my God, I have to start thinking about my garden. So I do.
All right. So that's awesome. So this is basically going to be to a how to get yourself ready, because spring will be here before you know it, even though it doesn't feel like it, because it's January 22nd and we still have to survive February.
And a lot of March.
A lot of March, yeah. We were having this discussion the other day at school, which is harder, February or March. And I actually think for me, it's February. It's me versus February every year, and I pretty much always lose February. So this year I'm going to win February. Let's go.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Sorry, my cat was about ready to walk in front. He's like, hey, look at me. I'm a kitty. Oh.
This is the other cat.
That's fine.
I'm going to add that to the stream, and we can get ready. So just tell me what you want me to do, Ann Brothers, and then we will go from there.
Okay. Well, go ahead this is my first slide. I was like, yay, it's gardening. And I just picked some pictures from my garden.
So this is actually an Ann Brothers sunflower is what you're saying.
It's an Ann Brothers sunflower right there. All beautiful. And look how blue the sky is, Jenny. And the yellow sunflower. And then that's the next to one of my porches. So the yellow from the roof of the porch. And you're like, look at
so what you're saying is that the sky can actually look like that in the state of Michigan.
Yeah, I did not do anything to make it that color. It made itself that color. And it can do it again if it wants to.
It may be April before it happens, but it is possible.
It is, exactly. So as I just demonstrated, the reason why I start, and I think a lot of people who garden start thinking in January, is because literally that's when the seed catalogs come. And they come from all over the place. And once you get on one seed catalog list, you are on all of them. And they do not stop pestering you. And they're so gorgeous. They have these beautiful colors. And all the seed stuff is in color, and you're like, oh, I could grow that. Oh, I could grow that. Oh, look at that weird cucumber. I want to grow that. So it's just like, it's better than the Sears catalog of your sweet, sweet youth when you used to look for all the toys. It's even
That's
better.
a bold statement, because the Christmas catalog was literally what I lived for in, say, mid-October to Christmas.
Exactly. Exactly.
Like,
so,
yeah.
But this, Jenny, unlike that, where you're like, you could only wish for things. Now you're a grown up with a credit card, and you can make it come true.
I can. Well, you know, the funny thing is, I don't get a seed catalog. I have not. I'm going to have to. Okay, so here I am. I want me a seed catalog. Which one do I start with?
Okay, so go to the next slide, please, Jenny Brothers.
Okay, I will go to the next slide. There it is.
Okay, so this one is my favorite one, the one at the top. But like I said, once you get on one, you can get on any of them. And that is Seed Saver Exchange out of Decorah, Iowa. And they do all heirloom seeds. So that's why I like them. It's a very small company. So literally, I order my seeds like within the first week of January, because if you don't, they run out before the end of January. So,
whoa. Okay.
So this is my favorite one. Now, if you want like an all-purpose one, Burpee, which is my third one on the list. Very good seed catalog, and they don't run out of stuff usually. So that's if you go on Burpee, what is it called? Burpee in Warminster, Pennsylvania. That's a very good all-purpose one. But like I said, I usually order most of my seeds from Seed Saver Exchange. I've actually been to their farm in Decorah, Iowa. It's so cool.
Right.
Yeah, so that's a good one. I also just started getting this one of Prairie Moon. I'm very excited about it because I'm turning sections of my yard into pollinator garden. Most of my front is already pollinator garden. I'm turning this one side next to my garage into pollinator garden. And the Prairie Moon Nursery, which is out of Minnesota, they have a lot of like native plants, especially native plants that are used to this sort of climate. So we have I think a 6 where I am in Michigan. So that's, so you want seeds and stuff that are going to do well in Michigan in a northern climate, temperate climate. So that's what I'm very excited about. I just ordered a bunch of seeds from them. The only thing about putting in a pollinator garden with prairie seeds or wild seeds is that you have to get them early in the spring because that's when you find them, or late winter. But you really don't want to put them in until late fall so they have time to overwinter. So I have all these seeds that I won't plant until probably October.
Okay.
Pollinator garden. So yeah, Johnny's is also a very good general seed catalog company. And then this last one I have, Young Seeds is another very good one. Just general seeds and stuff. Some of these will even do like plant starts, but you won't get them until like March or April. And that's where this plant has already been started for you. And you just pop it into the ground as soon as it gets warm enough. And then this is also a fun one. This is actually not a seed company. It's the garden supply company. They just have fun stuff that costs a lot of money that you want for your garden. You're like, oh, I want that, so cool. And usually you can just do it with chicken wire, but then you get sucked into like buying a really expensive one. So that's just fun.
It looks so cool.
It looks so cool. There's some, when you get into stuff, there's always so much paraphernalia you can buy that you don't need, but it's just so cool.
That's pretty much America, though. That's pretty much how we do things. I'm like, it's like Pampered Chef. I'm like, I have a perfectly good bowl scraper, but don't I need this Pampered Chef one because it does nothing differently, but just looks cool.
It just looks cool. Or the ice cream scooper. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
you know what? I need the cheese shredder that they have because it costs like 10 times more.
Yes.
Yeah.
When I could just use a regular spoon. So yeah.
Exactly. So those are the seed catalogs that I've ordered from the past. Right now, I've only ordered from Seed Saver Exchange and Prairie Moon just because they are smaller companies and they will run out of things more quickly. Burpee, Johnny's, Young, those will all have seeds well into the early summer, so you can take a little bit more time with those.
Good to know. So if you want to do something like
catalog, you're on all of them.
Okay, that's good. So I'll have to order one, and then the rest will just come to me. So yay, excellent.
Okay. Now I want to also say that this is my garden. We're talking about my garden today. I'm not talking about gardening necessarily in general. I'm talking about stuff that I like and that works for me. Everybody that has a garden has their own way of doing things, their own books that they reference. Anything that I do you don't have to do. Please feel free to like ignore everything I say. And also remember that my garden is very region specific. So if you're watching this and you're in the South or out West, South where it's wetter or out West where it's drier, a lot of stuff that I grow may not work for you. So you have to, if you're thinking about getting into gardening, you really have to be specific. Pay attention to your region, pay attention to the soil you have in your own little microcosm. So here's my plan. And yes, I type this out every year. I get all excited. And this is all weather dependent. So, sometimes like, hey, I'm going to do this in March and I can't do it until April or May because it's still snowing. But, hope reigns eternal. So just, I renewed my Seed Saver membership because Seed Saver Exchange is a nonprofit. So I'm a member there. I got my garden and my plan together. I ordered my seeds. I did my chicken research because I'm going to get some new chickens this year. And I wanted to see what breed I wanted. So that's January. In February, I'll order my chickens. I'll buy some other sets of seeds that I don't necessarily need to get from Seed Saver Exchange. I'll buy my onion starts. I did potatoes last year, but I'm not doing potatoes this year, so I don't have to worry about that. And then March and April and May is really getting my beds, everything in order, basically. And I weed everything, I compost everything, I turn soil that needs to be turned. And once it gets warm enough, I get seeds in. Some things tomatoes always do better starts. I just buy my tomato starts. But like beans and squashes and zucchinis, all that, they do fine as seeds. And if they fail, you just put another one in there. Pretty easy. That's another thing you need to know about me as a gardener, is I like things to be as easy as possible. So if you see something that's really in my garden that's just going to town, I had very little to do with it. I just planted it and let it photosynthesize.
So let me ask you this, Amber. When do you consider it to be warm enough to plant?
Okay, so I'm looking at the beginning of May, and I want there not to been a heavy frost for maybe a couple weeks. So the soil is probably 60 to 70 degrees, especially for beans. So you might have a few sunny days, but you want it to have like enough. I usually try the 1st of May in my region. Sometimes that's a fail. You just have to have enough seeds to know that if this isn't going to work because the soil, or be patient. Put something in, it's like, oh, nothing's come up in 2 weeks. Just be patient. The soil is warming up. Now the seed may have rotted in that time, so you might have to do it again, but just be patient. So seeds, I like the beginning of May, and that's for vegetables only. Wildflowers don't go in until late fall because they need the winter to overfreeze. A lot of wildflower seeds need to have time where they're in the frozen ground. But for vegetables and stuff, beans, squash, pumpkins, anything I start from seed, I try to start at the beginning of May, and just know that I might have to replant the seeds again depending on the weather. So there you
go. Okay.
Things like starts, like tomatoes, cucumbers, pretty little annual plants. Not till Memorial Weekend, because in Michigan it is not unusual to have a freeze even up till Mother's Day. So something like you'll see gorgeous stuff at nurseries and like big box stores, and you'll be like, I want to, me want to, put in the ground now. Don't. Calm, breathe. It's very likely that we'll have a freeze. they'll all be dead. So just in Michigan, especially after, usually when I do it is Memorial Weekend whenever I put my starts in. In fact, I set time aside. In fact, I probably hit, see, May, Memorial Day into June, buy and plant starts. Starts that I like to get are tomatoes, cherry tomatoes, jalapenos, Gerber daisies, any of my herbs, lemongrass, verbena, basil, all that. I get them as starts. Just put them in Memorial Day weekend.
Okay, so that was actually the question I was going to ask you. What are the things that you like to use as starters rather than seed? And
Yes.
you have told, now, do you do you do any of your own starters inside your house, or do you just buy your starters?
I have in the past with tomatoes. Tomatoes are the pickiest thing I grow. And it's just too much work. I'm like, eh. Plus, Michigan has kind of a short growing time, so you really want to get like a tomato that has like it doesn't need a ton of time. And this is probably very basic of me, but I like a nice early girl. They fruit quickly. They're not a huge tomato. They're they're a general. You can put them in lots of things. You can make a sauce out of them if you want. You can can them. You can freeze them. You can eat them fresh. And you know that they're going to be all done by the time it freezes. And tomatoes don't like it very cold. Another thing, there's two types of tomato thing. There's a determinate and indeterminate. Determinate tomatoes, they flower, they bloom, they grow tomatoes, they die. Indeterminate, they do all that, only they might keep flowering and keep fruiting. Indeterminate tomato varieties are harder to find as starts. You usually have to do them as seeds. And most people are like, I had all these tomatoes and then my tomato plants died. I'm like, yeah, because you had a determinate plant. There was a determinate time where it was going to die. It was going to flower, bloom, fruit, die. So, that's the other thing. Tomatoes are so finicky. And I usually don't like to grow finicky things. Beans, so freaking easy. So easy. Tomatoes, they're like, oh, I'm too dry. Oh, I'm too wet. Oh, it's too hot. Oh, it's too cold. Oh, I'm too saggy. Oh, all these worms ate me. I'm like,
tomatoes are fussy.
Oh, the deer like them. Everybody likes tomatoes. So, but I love them so much. I actually grow them. Anything else that you see in my garden is easy. So, there you go.
Who is it that we know that doesn't like tomatoes?
Oh no. That's crazy.
No, I'm thinking of cucumbers. I'm thinking of Tony and cucumbers.
Oh yeah, Tony hates cucumbers. The devil.
It's not that. It's that. Gotcha.
And the thing is, like, some of the things I get as starts is because I only want a plant or two. Like I only want one or two plants of cherry tomatoes. I only want one or two plants of cucumbers. I'm like, I don't feel like as Jenny can attest to, I'm not a big cook. If it was left to me, I would like grow a bunch of stuff, eat a few things off the vine, and let it all die.
There you go. Just for the sake of growing.
And harvesting, I'm not a big canner. I'm none of that. I just want to be able to eat it fresh. That's why I like beans and squash. You pick them, they sit around forever, and then they're still good. That's what I like.
You're saying you don't want to walk around making tomato jelly for everybody?
I don't. You know why? Because it's one can of tomato jelly, great. 50 cans of tomato jelly is just mean. You have to leave it and unlock cars or something.
I was kind of excited last year because I thought I was going to have peaches at the end of the summer, and then I was going to try and make peach butter for the first time. But then everybody ate my peaches except me.
Yeah, everything likes peaches. Peaches are good.
Peaches, So the squirrels ate the peaches, and the groundhog climbed my tree and ate the peaches, and the blue jays ate the peaches, and then there was no peaches.
What happened to all my peaches?
Yeah, we got peach jacked.
Yeah,
hard.
All right. So I like to do a raised bed. I started gardening when I was still living in a city, and it was just easier to find the sunny parts of the yard and set up like a raised bed than trying to make a whole section that might be too shady. And I just really like it. It's easy to maintain because they're easy to weed. You have a deeper soil base. I just think it's so much easier to work with. The only thing is you have to build them, and that's what usually takes. That's the time consuming part, is building them. But once you get them built, you don't have to build 20 at once. You can just build a couple a year.
I didn't think I built one when we were still in Wisconsin, and I didn't think it was that hard. I thought, it took me a couple hours, and the cat was very helpful. But once I kind of figured out, I just kind of drew it out on paper, and then figured out how many bricks I needed. That was, I didn't think it was too bad.
No, it's not. It's I have like almost 30 beds, and you probably don't want to do 30 beds all at once, so I just did mine. Like when we first moved into this place, I just spent the first year building beds. We build like 3 at a time, like once a week we build 3 beds.
Where's the best place to get your dirt for those beds?
I am lazy. What you can do, and this can be a little hinky because I had a friend that did it and they did not get the best soil. You can just call like a place that sells like bulk rocks or bulk whatever soil, and they'll just come and dump a bunch on your lawn. You can buy it that way. I bought it in bags because, like I said, one, I'm lazy, and two, it's usually a little bit better quality. So that's what I did. It's a little more expensive to do it that way, but you don't have to move soil as many times. You just drive the truck or whatever you're driving up to the bed you've just built, unload it there, and then instead of like having to carry it from wherever they dumped all your soil.
And how many bags of soil? So if you're going to do the bag soil method, how many bags of soil could you expect to buy for a bed? Because how big are your beds?
My beds are 3 feet by 6 feet, and it took 16 bags of 40 pounds each.
Okay.
So
yeah, depending on how much money you want to spend on soil and how many beds, because I just, like I said, I started with the one, and then I accidentally grew. I did it late in the season just to see if I could do it, and then I accidentally grew pumpkins in it. So that soil was good because we had our Halloween pumpkins, our jack-o'-lanterns, and I just took all the stuff afterwards and I just tossed it into bed because I thought the deer would like it, and they did. But then the next summer, I accidentally had pumpkins. So.
Yep. Yeah, and the nice thing, like you see that, like, because I use the ones, the cement blocks that have the holes in them.
Yeah.
What I do is that I'll grow garlic in those. So in the late fall, I'll put in garlic bulbs, and that's where I'll grow my garlic.
Nice.
So the bed that's a I have a rotation. So every third year, I have beds that are fallow, and those are the ones I grow garlic in, and I just do it in those little holes. So
nice, awesome. How very Now, let me ask you this. So here you have
Jenny, you're frozen. Oh, no. What happened? I don't know. Did Jenny freeze or did I freeze? I don't know. I'm just going to keep talking. Jenny, did you freeze?
I think I might have frozen.
Okay, you're
back.
You're back now. So I was
okay.
Yeah. Talking.
Yeah, this the internet here today has been acting a bit on the weird side. So. Okay, the question I was getting ready to ask you is what's the advantage of these cinder block beds versus like a wood raised bed?
Well, the nice thing is that, wood rots, even with a treated wood, it rots, and you don't necessarily want a treated wood because it can contaminate the soil. Your ground will shift, that happens. The nice thing is that you can move them more easily because they're in sections than you can with like the wood that's just in one big section. Some people use not old ones, but they'll use like the big galvanized metal things for watering like horses and stuff. Those
yeah.
If you just want something nice and deep, you just want to put it on your patio, or those are nice. But this is just easy because you can manipulate them more easily. If you take it apart, then you got all these great cinder blocks. So
that's true. Excellent.
It was the easiest way to go for me. Like cool. I said, other people do other things. This is strictly what I liked the best.
Awesome. Okay. I love that. All right, 16. And again, you guys, if you didn't hear that before, if you're doing the bag soil method, about 16 bags per 3x6 bed, which is good to know.
So I'm going to get more chickens this year. My oldest girls are 6 years old, and I have 2 of those girls left, Crystal and Candy, and they're not laying anymore. And if I was a truly good farmer, I would have put them in a pot, but they kind of are in charge of the other girls, so they do a good job with that. And they're both Wyandottes. And then in 2021, I got more Wyandottes and Buff Orpingtons. So they're my primary layers right now. And then right now I have 9 birds. I'm going to get 3 more, and I'm going to get the Australorps, which is kind of an offshoot of the Orpington. They're a blackbird. They're a little bit smaller, only about 5 to 7 pounds. They hold the record for egg laying. They'll lay between 250 and 300 eggs a year. They're this lovely black color with a little red comb and wattle. They're very good cold weather birds. Their laying age is about 6 months. They have a light brown egg, and they have a docile temperament, which is important for me because I don't have a rooster or anything, and I don't want my girls fighting each other.
Cool.
That'll be my chicken.
And I know those are like ovulatory gold mines right now with the way egg prices are.
I know people keep asking me like, "Are you selling your eggs?" I'm like, all 7 of my girls molted in the last 8 weeks, and so nobody was laying anything. The only thing they were dropping was feathers, and so I finally have 3 girls who are back to egg production, and I was like, "Nope, I have just enough to keep me in eggs right now."
I know. I've been looking at all the memes that are online right now of all the different things of the prices of eggs. I'm like, it happens.
It happened. I was gonna say, what I'm gonna go out and buy 20 more chickens, and then the price of eggs will like.
Exactly.
But like they're just.
We'll go back to just regular egg prices, and we'll all learn to live without eggs and all of that stuff.
So I'm very excited about my. I wanted black hens, and there was one that were from Thailand, Jenny. They were blackbirds. They even have black skin, black comb, black wattle. They even have really dark blood. But it was $1,500 for a breeding pair. And plus, they're from Thailand, so they're not a good cold weather bird. But I was like, I think I'll look for something else.
Yeah, they'd be like, "We hate it here. Can we go back to Thailand, please?"
Exactly. This place is cold, and I hate it. So here's some books that I use. The Vegetable Garden Bible. Whenever I decide to grow something else, that's the first place to go to see if this is something that I want to do. The Urban Homesteader, that's where I got the idea for the raised beds. It's funny, and it's really helpful for anybody that, you don't have to, like, I have a big yard. I bought a yard, and this is the house that came with it. So, but for years I lived in a city. And this was a great book, especially for people who live in a city and just want to grow, just want to see what they can grow in the space that they have. So it's a great book for that. And then I'm going to try a new technique this year. I'm going to be growing corn for the first time, but I'm going to be using the 3 sister method. So I'm going to have beds with corn, beans, and squash. So the beans will climb up the corn, and I do a hidatsa bean, which I love. And then they'll grow up the corn, and then the squash will cover the ground. And this was used. It's a very old technique that's been used all over North America. And I read about it in the Buffalo Bird Woman's Garden, and then I reread about it again in Rape Sweetgrass. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to do it this year. We'll see if it works. See what happens. Honestly, if we do have, if society crumbles, squash, beans, corn. Forget the tomatoes. Every time I see some sort of apocalyptic show where everybody's growing tomatoes, I start yelling at the TV. Can't feed people on tomatoes, squash, beans, corn. You can grow those things. Not only are you not gonna starve, you're gonna thrive. So we're gonna try this technique, very old technique, see if it works, and if it does, yay!
Awesome. So, sorry, I accidentally cut us off there. Hang on.
Duncan's folding clothes. Here's my
Duncan.
He's folding clothes. And then the cat's right there. Oh, here's the cat to help fold the clothes.
Good job.
So the Vegetable Garden Bible and the Urban Homesteader I use every year. I refer to them every spring. And then the other 2 are just ones that I'm using. We'll see what happens with this year.
Squash, beans, corn. Squash, beans, corn.
And that's, again, this this is something that they were growing in the Southwest. They were growing all the way up in North Dakota and into Canada. So this is something that works. You just have to find squash, beans, and corn that do well in your region.
Cool. Mm-hmm. Cool.
Yay.
Excellent.
Mm-hmm. And then, of course, the end, or we've only just begun. And I put that on there because I was listening to a podcast about the Carpenters while I put these slides together, and I'm like, and they were playing "We've Only Just Begun," and I thought, and these are 2 of my girls. This is Ruby and Scarlet. They're 2 of my Buff Orpingtons, and then over there, the other one that is Vicky, and she's one of my Gold Wyandottes.
That's awesome. Now, I'm thinking, Ann Brothers, this is what we're going to do. This is good, and I think this is super helpful because I'm kind of I'm a gardening amateur, and that's being generous in terms of my gardening ability. But I think it would be really cool if we did an episode where you taught people what you know about chickens, because I think and I think it's especially would be interesting when you kind of helping people if they wanted to do, like in the city of Kalamazoo where I am, you can have up to 60 chickens in your yard. So
don't do that.
No, I would never do that. I'm not sure I want a chicken, let alone 60. But I just think it would be good because I think people are like, yeah, I'm gonna have chickens. They'll be awesome. And I think it's important for people to know what it's really like to have chickens. So, Ann, we're gonna pick your brain here in the next few weeks about the whole chicken thing because I think it's a really I think it's good to talk about because, like I said, egg prices are what they are, and like anything, if you wanted to try and do some things yourself, if you're watching and you would like some information on Ann's plan for gardening, just let us know. We'll email you a copy of it. We're happy to share that information.
Here's my board, my garden board. See.
Tell us what's on that board. It's kind of hard to see, but
I know.
Back up, honey.
Oh, Duncan's telling me to back up.
Back up like a talk show.
There. Okay, so basically it's just, like I have my garden plans here. So here's I know it's hard to see, but all my beds are worked out what I'm going to grow. And here's my other side garden plan right here. Here's my, and then here's just things that I plan on growing. I do want to grow a sweetgrass, so I have to start getting my backyard ready for that. And then of course all my wildflowers. So just reminding me of what I'm going to do, and it's pretty. And
and I love the fact at the bottom, and I know people can't see that, but what it is Ann has it's graph paper, and what she does is she has sketched out to scale her gardens on graph paper. So and
then I put down what I keep adding to it. So I know that in one of my beds, bed number let's say bed number 5. My first year in 2016, I did a Swiss chard, and then in 2017 I did Hidatsa shield figure beans, and then 2018 it was fallow, and then in 2019 I did pickling cucumbers. So that way I know what bed has had what, so that I can keep it, keep straight what I've grown, and also where the bed needs to be. You need to let your bed rest. I try not to do fruiting things 2 years in a row because it can be a little hard on the soil. Beans, I always have a bean year because beans add nitrogen back to the soil. They're nitrogen fixers, so they add nitrogen back to the soil. So, and then some sort of vegetable, beans, and then fallow. And then that way I can keep track of it.
So what I'm hearing, Ann, is that there's some sort of science that goes into the work you do with your gardens.
You would think that they would have schools for this and degrees in this. Perhaps an agriculture school with a degree in agriculture. I had a student ask me one time if farmers got paid to grow things. And I was like, yes. Perhaps we need to go a little bit further back in your knowledge base than I had suspected.
Yeah. This is one of those things where I think I actually feel like an agri-science program, even at the youngest ages, is a really big deal. I just,
I can't tell you how many times I've walked by somebody building a garden bed under a tree.
Oh, yeah, no,
yeah.
that's,
do you think that's going to work? And I try not to be like, hey, that's not going to work, dummy, because I'm not a white man, so I can't say that. So instead I try to think, has that worked for you in the past? I don't know. I've never done it before. I'm like,
yeah. Well, yeah. And for those of you that, being from Michigan and being, not a stone's throw from Michigan State, Michigan State, of course, has one of the better agriculture schools in America. Colorado State is another really good one. And actually, I'm going to throw a shout out to Bob Park. He is the agricultural teacher at Forest Lake Area Middle School. And the stuff that Bob does with his kids is so outstanding and awesome. I'm like, I want to be a 7th grader or an 8th grader again so I can take Bob's agricultural class. He does some work. They actually have a really great ag day at Forest Lake High School And it's great to see kids, getting interested in that and really working that program. So shout out to you, Bob Park, for building a great program at Forest Lake Area Middle School. Because I think that is it's just killer cool. And like I said, I would love that all over again, for sure. So,
and if it's your first time gardening, don't be sad if you have a fail. I mean, things fail all the time, and that's part of, like, oh, I know, I'll just grow a garden. And what could possibly go wrong? It's
well, and that's
so it's don't beat yourself up if something doesn't grow or doesn't work out the way you want. Just keep trying.
Well, that's part of that's the science of it. And again, I say this all the time, is that science is not a thing. Science is a process. And you building a garden is a very scientific process in the fact that you're going to try things. You need to record what you're doing, how you're doing it. And that's, control as many variables as you can. And if it works, great. And if it doesn't work, think about what, evaluate. That's that whole evaluation process of the data that you've collected, and then you analyze and, draw conclusions from that data. And it doesn't matter if it's in a lab or in your garden. It's the same process. And that's how all of this works.
Certainly don't be afraid to seek out other people who've done this or books, because, why reinvent the wheel? People have been doing this for 10,000 years, probably. So, there's
it's the thing that let us stop being nomads and start being, regular people with cities and junk.
So, it's kind of like, one, don't beat yourself up. Two, it's supposed to be entertaining, or at least, something that you get satisfaction from. Three, it's cool to eat your stuff that you've grown. It's like, just grow what you like. That's a big one. People are like, do you grow carrots? I'm like, no, because I don't like carrots.
Carrots are gross.
If I want to eat them, I'll go buy them, because I only want to eat like 4 every year. That's about it. Usually I chop it up and put it in a salad or something. So so grow what you like. It's like, that's where you start. First thing I ever grew was tomatoes in a pot, because I wanted to have fresh tomatoes.
Nice. Smart.
Yep. It doesn't have to be big. The reason like I said, I bought a yard. This house came with it. I bought the yard because it was sunny and I could grow lots of stuff.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So.
All right. And again, you guys, if you want to, harvest knowledge from Ann's brain, you can always, you can DM us on the Facebook. You can email us here. Let me put our email address on. It is smartdumbfun@gmail.com. It's like, it's right there, this y'all. And feel free to email us if you're interested, and Ann will email you her grand plan. And like I said, you can look. We'll have a show here in a few weeks talking about chickens and the joyous wonders of chickens.
Let's do that once I get my chickens. So probably like in March.
Yep.
When I get my growth, maybe April, because I like to give them a little bit later because it's cold here. But yeah, then we can see my cute chickens. Then I can talk about all the shit that I get, so that I can get some eggs.
Yeah. And we have to show everybody your coop too, because your coop is cool.
My coop is cool. I would suggest, if you are going to get into this, that you just buy a nice starter coop to begin with, to make sure this is what you want to do. But once you get started and you see them like running around, and you're talking chicken, like, like, what are you doing?
Ladies and gentlemen, Ann Brothers as a chicken.
As a chicken. It's one of my chickens.
This is also Powers of Observation with Ann Brothers.
Exactly. You're like, what's your chicken? People are like, oh, chickens are dumb. I'm like, no, they're brilliant at being chickens. If you want your chicken to be a cat, it will fail. But if you want your chicken to do chicken stuff, it's going to be so impressively.
You see, and the thing is, Ann, if more people had that philosophy, just in terms of just your own personness, I think people would just be a lot happier.
I think so. Look at me. I'm thrilled. Look at it's a tiny thing, like, when I tell people I'm going to go clean the coop, they're like, ew. And I was like, oh no, it's very satisfying. You feel very accomplished. The chickens are like, oh, what are you doing?
I feel that way when I clean my litter box. I'm like, I'm like, cats like it. It smells nice. I'm like, not that moment, but after it's done, it's like, it's one of my nightly chores. It's like, well, Joe mostly does it, but every night, it's like, it's always anything like that is satisfying. It's like when I clean my house, I'm like, this is satisfying. It's nice.
It's nice. Look at this.
So, cool.
Plus, you've accomplished something important.
Yes.
And since they have those gyms now where you like throw things and do things, you're like, hey, I'm going to throw this tire around because that's what the cavemen used to do. Well, see, now you're doing one of those things. You're like, hey, I'm exercising in a way that old-timey people used to do.
Why
All
not?
right, we're totally off track here.
I don't even know what we're talking about. We'll be back in 2 weeks. I think we're going to do a movie review next week. I sat and watched the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once last night, which is one of those movies that's probably going to be an Oscar contender. And I'm just going to say banana pants. That's all I'm going to say about it right now. I loved it.
I haven't seen it yet, but I haven't because I'm like, multiverse again. So Jenny's going to make me watch it because
I want to talk about it. It's interesting. The other one I want to talk about too is maybe we'll double up, Ann, because I want to talk about that one and I want to talk about the movie The Menu because I liked that movie very much.
I want to talk about The Menu. I liked that movie a lot.
A lot. So yeah.
That to be an Oscar contender. But I think that one might be too dark.
It's dark.
It's so freaking dark.
All right. So Ann, if you, like I said again, if you're just joining us, if you're interested in learning more about Ann's plan for her garden and you think you could do that for your garden, Lori Worrell's with us. Hi, Lori. Lori, we're just wrapping up because Ann was talking about putting her garden together. And again, if you're interested in knowing more about how Ann does her garden, her plans, and her processes, if you will, then go ahead and email us. There it is. It is smartdumbfun@gmail.com. Just Ann's the smart, I'm the dumb, and this is fun. So there we go.
Smart and dumb. As Jenny said, she's smart in school, and I'm smart on the bus.
Yeah, that pretty much sums us up. Smart at school, dumb on the bus, and not smart at school. And that's not true because you were just a late bloomer when it came to school. That's all.
I just didn't want to do it.
Yeah. It's okay.
I'm bad at doing stuff I don't want to do.
No, I think that's a pretty human trait, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't like it. It's not, I'm not going to run to do it. I'm like, yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, no, it's like, Anyway, smart, dumb, fun.
So yeah, we will be back 2 weeks from today. Probably, we're definitely, I think, leaning towards that music. And it depends. Sometimes things get in the way because sometimes things happen around and we want to talk about those things or like, but that's what we're planning for next week or 2 weeks from now. Probably Anything, Anywhere, Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, which is probably the most banana pants movie I think I've ever seen. But I did really enjoy it. There's a lot of good comedy in it. It is nuts. So anyway,
where is that right now? Is that on Amazon Prime right now?
Showtime. It's on Showtime.
It's on Showtime. Okay.
Yeah. So if you have Paramount Plus, that's a Showtime link. Do yourself a favor though. Turn off your subtitles for it because they're not great for whatever reason. I don't know if our internet was having a problem or what, but it just, so turn those off. And there's some subtitles in it that are part of the movie and then some that just come with having your app on or whatever. Turn them off and just, do it that way. That's my recommendation.
All right then.
Yeah.
Very good.
All right.
All right. Thanks.
Well, Ann Brothers, that was great. You did a great job. Well done. Pat yourself on the back. You're super smart, especially when it comes to gardening. And just gonna start calling you Farmer Ann. Yay! Yep. Farmer Ann. And when the zombie apocalypse does come, if I can make it there, I'll do all your weeding. And I'll clean the chicken coop. I have nothing else to contribute. So, because I know very well that if the zombie apocalypse comes, I'm just going to probably die.
Honestly, it seems just to take the least amount of effort. I'm probably into. I'm just going to be like, I have no intention of helping anybody. So.
Yeah, I'm not really built for that. I'm an institutional girl, I've been institutionalized. I've been domesticated. I got nothing.
Yeah, I'm just going to be like, when I was younger, maybe I thought, yeah. I'm like, I think I'll just get some brains and take a nap.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Good for them, for those people that are like,
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm really like, really like going to Costco and Meijer and doing my shopping there. And when those things go away, I'm like, uh-oh. Yeah. Yeah.
For plumbing and tampons.
Oh, I mean, I don't want to have to poop in my yard.
We're really off track now, guys. We gotta go.
Right. Anyway, thanks for joining us today, you guys. And again, we will see you guys in 2 weeks from today, which is going to be February 5th.
I think you're right.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's February 5th already. Okay. Well, then we'll be in February. We can talk about the awesomeness of February. So, all right, guys.
All right.
Peace. Be good.